It's Thursday, the 19th of January, 2023. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's jump into it. Story number 1's a pretty big one, really. Davos, which is an annual talk fest between governments and business and interest groups. It happens in Switzerland every year, kicked off this week. And the boss of BHP, Mike Henry, is there. And he said that the mining industry will need to take more risks and be increasingly innovative to keep up with energy needs, particularly during the transition to greener power.
That's right, Michael. Mr. Henry said miners needed to get more out of existing mines and find new supplies. But new mines take time. In fact, nowadays they take 15 to 20 years to get into full production. It's a real problem for the industry. A decade ago, they only took 10 years. So the focus needs to be on greater use of data and artificial intelligence to get more out of what miners already have. He made an interesting point about metals and minerals and the green transition. He said people understand the need for things like lithium, cobalt and nickel. What they don't realise is that production in those areas are generally in decline. So there needs to be a huge investment just to keep up with current output levels, let alone meet the higher demand that's coming. At Davos this year, plenty of high-profile speakers, including former US Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. He suggested the world sit down with Russia and start negotiating an end to that war. Also, Chinese Vice Premier Liu He, very senior Chinese leader, he told the forum that China wanted it back in the tent. Now, commentators said that very much signalled that China wants to pivot back towards international harmony, something that's been missing for the last few years.
Yeah, that is a big development. On to story number 2 now, and shares in online marketplace Redbubble, which was really a bit of a COVID darling, tumbled more than 10% yesterday after the group said it will sack around 20% of its workforce amid flat revenue and lower profitability.
That's right. There's a real divergence emerging between some of the bricks and mortar retailers who are doing well and the online sellers like Redbubble. Yesterday, the online seller said it was forced to invest in promotional activities to attract new and existing customers. Shareholders didn't like the news and sold the company down. Plenty going on in the market. In fact, the market yesterday just seemed to be getting back into action. Again, by the end of the day, the S&P ASX 200 was up a touch, 7 points.
All right, story number 3. Optus is the big loser in the latest list of brand valuations, reflecting the cyber attack obviously on the telco last year. In fact, the group's value lost about $1.2 billion according to the analysis by Brand Finance Australia.
Nothing like a major customer crisis to harm the value of a brand. It pushed Optus from number 11 brand last year to number 17 this year. At the top of the list in terms of brand value, again, is Woolworths, followed by Telstra, Commonwealth Bank, Coles, then National Australia Bank, BHP and ANZ. The total value of the top 100 Australian brands rose 15% to a record $195 billion, according to a report in the Financial Review. Now, Brand Finance uses 2 metrics: brand value, which considers how much of a brand's profit can be attributed to the brand, and brand strength, which looks at things like marketing, financial performance, and sustainability. On that measure, Bunnings comes in at number 1.
Okay. Story number 4, arrivals and departures from Australia ramped up sharply at the end of last year, with 1.5 million departures last December and nearly 1.3 million arrivals. Now, those numbers are pretty much up from zero a year earlier.
Yes, we are back flying in and out of the country, not quite to pre-pandemic levels, but we're about 2/3 of the way there, according to the Bureau of Statistics. In December 2019, more than 2.2 million people departed the country. We're on the way to reaching that. About 1.9 million arrived. Things are definitely ramping up again, which, Michael, leads me to my favourite part of this story. The Washington Post has released the top 10 overseas holiday destinations for 2023. Number 1, Italy, then Japan, then Southeast Asia, Thailand, Bali and Vietnam. What's interesting is that Americans are looking to come to our region to holiday much more than ever before. Just quickly, number 4 was the Caribbean and number 5, Egypt.
Oh, that's a good list. Sean, story number 5, LinkedIn has released its annual Jobs on the Rise list, and number 1 was a technical program manager who essentially oversees a number of related technical or IT projects for an organisation. Probably no real surprise there, it makes sense. But number 2 was a little left field, a clinical exercise physiologist.
Yes, clinical exercise physiologists design, assign and supervise exercise and lifestyle programs for people with health issues, rehab, injury prevention. Often you meet them in hospitals. Number 3 was site reliability engineers, basically making sure software systems are working. Number 4 was sales development rep. Everyone still needs salespeople. Number 5 was platform engineer. What's interesting, about half the top 25 were tech jobs, but there's also plenty of roles in insurance, employment coaching and consulting, and health. Michael, it's handy because even if you're not looking for a job, it shows you just how much your current job is in demand, or perhaps not.
Oh, good to know. That's it, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 19th of January, 2023. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. And don't forget our weekly podcast called How Do They Afford That is out every Wednesday. This week's episode is all about risk profiles, but there's some other good stuff, including investing for the FIRE movement and also how to pay your home loan off faster as interest rates are rising. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.